Welcome to PFT OT on Yahoo Sports. Peter King, Mike Florio talking big stories in the National Football League. And one of the guys who is in the short list of MVP candidates this year, second-year quarterback Lamar Jackson. The last of 5 quarterbacks taken in round 1 in 2018. Now the best of the bunch so far in 2019. Peter, why did Lamar Jackson make it all the way to pick number 32 in April of 2018?
Because I think evaluators in the NFL were concerned that so much of his game was based around the running game. And look, right now, and I love Lamar Jackson, and I love the way he plays, and I think you take Lamar Jackson and the way he plays, and you take the risk of him getting hurt. And I understand everybody is screaming about that. I was talking to Mike Tannenbaum, the former GM, this week, and he was talking about how he likes Justin Herbert of Oregon coming out in the draft. He's kind of your standard, sort of Roethlisberger, almost pocket type, even though Roethlisberger can move around a little bit. But this is your classic NFL quarterback, in history, a guy who will stay in the pocket. And my point was, well, what about what you're seeing with all of these guys at the top of their game? Russell Wilson, he moves. Lamar Jackson, he moves. Deshaun Watson, he moves. Patrick Mahomes, he moves. And so many of the top guys right now are very mobile in and around the pocket. And that was the argument, as I recall, with Lamar Jackson. And even Bill Polian said maybe they ought to think about moving him into wide receiver. Very famous moment at that combine. Lamar Jackson said, I'm not working out at any other position. And good for him. And I'll tell you the one thing that he has shown, Mike, both against New England and against Cincinnati. He may not have the classic quarterback throwing mechanics, but he throws a beautiful football. And he made some huge throws in both weeks. And in my opinion, it's everybody's loss around the NFL. When Josh Rosen gets picked 22 picks ahead of Lamar Jackson, that shows me that there's a lot of people in the NFL who do not have a forward-looking lean at assessing the quarterback position.
And the big question for me was, can he do at the NFL level the things that he did while he was at Louisville? He was so phenomenal running the ball and throwing the ball, and he even had statistically a better season the year after he won the Heisman. His team just wasn't good enough for him to be back in the equation for a second straight Heisman Trophy, but he was great. Can he take that to the next level? And the Ravens saw something. The Ravens had that belief, and the perfect storm lined up for them because they were ready to move on from Joe Flacco. They were ready to find another quarterback, and they were sitting there at 16 after 4 others had gone. And as I heard at the time, owner Steve Bisciotti was banging the drum, let's take him now, let's take him now. They played that board perfectly. They trade from 16 down to 25 and take Hayden Hurst, the tight end, swoop back into 32 in a trade with the Eagles and get Lamar Jackson, and they were thrilled, and they've been spending most of their time ever since then, Peter, coming up with the right way to use him. And I don't say that it's necessarily revolutionized the game, but it's different than what we've seen. And I think it's the next step in the evolution of football coaches at the NFL level realizing that when you see a quarterback you like at the college level, you have to bring what he does and the offense he runs with him. If you do that, it'll work. If you try to jam him into your system, it may not work. And I think coaches are warming up to the idea of bringing not just the player, but everything the player does up to the next level and seeing if he can do it there.
Mike, I think you mentioned something in your last paragraph or so that's really important and cannot be forgotten. One of the things that the Ravens wanted to do was to challenge Joe Flacco, who had gotten a little bit stale in Baltimore. They wanted to challenge Flacco, and if Flacco wins the job, great. But they wanted to put a little pressure on him to be better, to work harder. And at that moment, when they took Lamar Jackson, that energized not only the quarterback room, but the entire organization.
And look at where they are right now. They are arguably the best team in the NFL now that the 49ers have lost, and we'll see where they go from here. Check out more PFT OT on Yahoo Sports throughout the season.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.